afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Gator Does D&D. Today, we're having a bit of trouble with some of our players who are not going to be able to be around, but that's okay. We have our GM corner set up for today. We'll be taking suggestions from our patrons and subscribers later on during the show. But for the most part, we're going to be discussing how do we call it? Essentially, dungeon construction philosophy, sharing stories of memorable traps, monsters, and the like. That being said, let's go ahead and jump in with the others, and moving over to our revamped and improved GM's corner here.
I don't know why.
Alrighty.
Look, I'm just telling you guys, I've never seen Childish Gambino and Danny Glover in the same room. I don't know.
I'm concerned about what I walked back into, but okay, that works.
It's Donald, not Danny. What are you talking
Why,
about?
Donald Glover? I never seen them.
There is a Danny Glover.
There is.
Yeah.
Maxwell
I think
keeps
he may
talking
well
about
be
him.
with it. Oh god, don't remind me of that fucking... He would shout that in the street.
Oh my god.
Oh, there is a Danny Glover. Well, that's
Yeah,
what
it's...
his name
Have you forgotten that Donald Glover has a dad?
is. Yes, I have.
What is wrong with you people?
A lot
I
of
should get some
things.
whiskey.
That
Yeah,
he's not a
that's
mud
what's
person.
wrong.
He's not just brought out of the mud. Jesus.
Karn,
I think-
No,
shut
no,
up.
no. Clearly, he's come from the mud.
They,
He's come from
Oh,
rocks
Karn.
and trees.
they,
come from
they give
Wakanda.
me,
Come to save the day!
they give me high,
Oh, and he
they give me
shows
low
up.
fives.
Speak of the devil.
Did someone
About
make
fucking
a?
time, dude.
Did someone put like a grenade in a pentagram or something to summon him? That's pretty accurate.
Apparently.
Yeah. The thing is, what do you sacrifice in order to summon Stanford?
So, that being said,
Yeah.
we have a bit of an agenda for today's show.
I have a few words to share with the audience before we start.
Oh?
Please don't shout. Please don't shout.
Oh.
Stop.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Poor Dap is a little under the weather, shall we say?
Yeah. Dude, no, I'm gonna have to set you down. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say. Just.
Come
Ooh,
on.
there we go.
I'm
And
just thinking about that song.
and you as
Tears
well.
for
There
Fears
we go.
win.
Yeah, Tears for Fears. I actually saw them in person, kind of, but it was accidental.
You saw.
Tears
Let
for
me
Fears.
turn
Nice.
you guys up, because Maggie is
Yeah.
real. Actually, Nell, you're gonna have to turn up your mic a little bit. Your output on your mic.
Really?
Yeah, because
Let's
you're really
see.
quiet.
For you.
I'm okay there, right?
Then again, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sensitive to like.
Yeah, yours
Sorry.
is fine. Just Josh and Nell are sort of on the quiet side of things.
I'm
Little
not
bit
talking.
low,
That's
so-
How
why.
about
Oh.
how about now? Is that better?
Yeah, that's a bit better.
Okay.
Crappy music down.
Hey, fuck you. This is not crappy music. Final Fantasy XII had a absolutely
It's
amazing.
Final Fantasy.
Okay, get fucked. Get fucked.
Wait, is he
That's what-
rip?
Dude, Final Fantasy
Oh, yeah.
team in general, or Square, have got some of the best musicians on the planet. Case in point, Final Fantasy 14 Answers,
not
the best song ever.
Once again, that's about several songs.
I have no idea what you said. All I heard was mit, mat, bit, nat, nit, nat, ah.
Something about several songs.
Something, they're the best on the planet, just not
Okay.
this planet.
To be better.
But Ours make some really good music.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking Dead Planet, but you know.
How's that? I think the microphone was too far from me. That's why.
Yeah,
that's better.
Yeah, the microphone was too far from me. That was the problem. Yay!
Solved!
No, it's too big. I tried.
That's what she said.
I tried.
Alright,
At least give me an A for
It's
effort.
just-
So
So-
far, but in
you get a
the
B.
end-
You get a B for effort.
Yay! A B?
And by B, it's a what? Yeah.
Oh,
By B, I mean
You
you
can't
get
give her a B,
you
that's
get the
similar
entire
to
script
Death
of the B
Zone.
movie.
That's no problem. I can do it.
you
see,
can't give
the
an Asian a
B
B,
movie
otherwise that's a
is
death sentence from their family, dude.
The B movie is incredibly watchable. As long as you intersplice it with a bit of EFOC along the way, you can get all the way to the
What
end of the B
the
movie.
fuck? Why?
That's true, actually.
I'm just saying, I mean, that's the way Daddy Chan had us watch it, and it worked.
Oh god. I never trust Jeff when E-fuck comes around.
Yeah, no, neither. He was a very, very, very bad Daddy Chan, and I'm not gonna lie.
Daddy Chan?
Yeah, please
Yeah.
stop calling him daddy. Fucking weirdos.
What
But
the
he-
fuck?
Come to me, Daddy.
Oh god. Anyways, so
Let go. Cringe.
shit talking aside. We have a gifted sub from Devil King. Thank you so much again,
Yay,
Devil.
thank you.
Awesome for that.
You're an absolute nutter, you know that, right?
Yeah, he must spend so much fucking money on us, dude. Come on. Like, we're not worth that much. We're worth much more.
Okay, so first on the agenda today, we're going to discuss some sort of memorable traps that we might have encountered in our various D&D shenanigans.
Well, I mean,
I think
I
the
did
best one that I
encounter
ever
this
faced
one
was-
player that I didn't actually realise was a trap at the time, but found out later, and yeah, they were pretty good.
But of course,
I remember this one.
go on.
I remember this one trap. The best trap that has ever been played on me in D&D was a stick on the ground. And that's literally it. The trick wasn't the fact that it wasn't actually a trap. It was described as a trap. So I stood there for a good 15 minutes, real time, going, whilst the party went around it instead. So I thought, oh, I'll go and have a look at it. And he goes, well, you hear growling in the distance. Well, I'm going to move quietly. Okay, roll a 1. I rolled a 20, rolled a natural 1, and put the stick through my foot. I made my own trap.
Oh god.
Just a regular. He didn't have it tied to anything. Nothing.
No,
Over-
it was
over-
literally just a stick in the foot.
Let's see here. Let's.
I would then come to use it as a plunger hole for a later combat. I'll explain that later.
I am certainly concerned about that.
It's like Play-Doh.
Okay, worst trap I ever faced was we were in the woods. We just fucked up some menschlings, but a few of us is on a little bit of low the old HP, and the DM decides to basically have a tree trap where basically a branch is pulled back and it flies out, hits the entire party, knocking out fucking 4 of the 6 members instantly, like down, fucking 0 HP. And the only reason I fucking survived is because at the time I was fucking only taking half bludgeoning damage, and it was basically deemed bludgeoning. And holy shit! And then it's like, it wasn't that was the worst trap, but here's the horrible thing: only one player actually managed to survive the death throws. The other 3 died. And it was like, oh shit! Okay, didn't see that one coming. And that was pretty bad. Sort of the fact that it killed off half the party is like, holy shit. Okay, what are we gonna do now? That was the worst one I had.
Okay, so we have a request from one of our patrons on the Discord server.
Oh yeah.
The show needs more traps, if you know what I mean. Ooh woo. Wonder who it's from.
I do.
So, what is the best trap that you ever had in a D&D game?
For for me or for Josh?
For anyone to answer.
I can't think of one actually.
Because
I do have one actually. I remember it now.
Oh yeah.
You remember our old Super Saiyan buddy, right?
I think so.
How could you forget him? He ruined the entire campaign. The end game, the boss that had the sword and the helmet and shit. Fuck, what was his name? I don't remember. I think I just blocked him out because I don't like him.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Alright, so it was pretty. This is probably one of the most obvious traps that I've ever seen, but I've never seen somebody just blunder into a very, very obvious trap. This is like you see a naked dude and they're just not wearing anything, they're bottom down, but they're wearing, pretty upper top, makeup, nice hair, but you can clearly see there's a 15-foot pole hanging between their legs. Like that level obvious trap.
Okay.
Walks in. We beat the boss and everything. He immediately picks up the helmet. It's still glowing.
Oh my god, I
radiating
remember.
energy.
Never. No, holy shit. Okay, go on.
And it's whispering to him, telling him, put me on, and I will grant you power. And I was like, you can't. What are you doing with your life?
It was the crown of an elven lich. Very, very obviously, crown of elven lich.
Yeah.
Like big neon sign, flashing lights, arrow
Yeah,
pointing.
we
This is
literally
dangerous.
we just fought him, and like this was his like thing or whatever that was keeping him alive and whatnot.
Work.
So-
Is that what it is? Is that what the problem was? They don't know how lich at all.
He put.
Would you
the
like a helmet?
crown on? Immediately fails all of his saves, and becomes like almost half possessed. It was just because the actual DM retconned it because he didn't think that somebody would be that stupid.
Of course, this was a session of retcons because of certain miscalculations of damages. But no, he did get fully possessed, and we had to beat and restrain the character because it was the level of self-preservation instinct that you expect from your standard Space Station 13 character. This son of a bitch, like... Yeah.
Lane's an awful.
Yeah, this guy was... he was not bright. Wait, what? What that?
Pick as thick shit.
Yeah, thick as pig shit is a pretty good example of it.
I'm glad you got
This
that.
is also, this
So
is
I
also
said
the guy.
I
this
said
is-
pick as thick shit, but okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This was also the guy who decided to use hold spells on civilians and try to bludgeon a child to death.
Oh,
We were
that
playing
was
a good
fucking
campaign.
Christ.
That was actually after
Yeah.
he stole all the money off this kid.
Yeah, we gave the kid like a ridiculous sum of money and whatnot.
I have a reputation for being a stone cold killer, but fuck me, dude, I would never do something like that.
Mind you, this was like fucking chump change for us at the time. We were fucking loaded.
Right.
Oh, that's even worse.
I just realised that on the background food, you see Maggie there with the boomerangs in the bottom on the doodle.
Where?
Underneath the DM doodle on the stream back.
Oh yeah, you
Right,
can
you
touch
can see
back
Maggie
there
with
with
boomerangs.
boomerangs either side.
Oh wait, sorry, I don't have the stream up. I was looking at stuff at the moment. Yeah, let me.
Yeah. So I'm streaming it again.
So basically putting objects of power in the reach of idiots is essentially this unintentionally done trap here.
Well,
It's like the it's like the devil's sandwich.
The devil's yeah.
The devil's sandwich.
Yeah, Homer with the devil's sandwich.
I was thinking more Master Shake with the devil's sandwich, but that works too.
Well, I mean, they ripped off the Simpsons.
Hi, Bar. What's up?
Hey, Bart.
How are you?
Long story. Let's just keep moving on.
Okay, that's good.
Fair enough.
That's good. Yeah, that's
In any
good.
case, we are currently going through some of our most memorable traps that we have encountered in D&D games and the stories associated with them.
Traps, huh?
Yeah, like dungeon building philosophy is today's theme of the show.
Oh.
Yep. Apparently, our first story was Dap somehow turning a ordinary stick into a trap for himself by putting his foot through it.
I threw my foot.
Yeah, through.
I had a hole about the size just through my foot because of that bloody stick. And this thing, right? That was 5 minutes into my ever.
Dap, you're breaking up like crazy, bro.
Yeah, really hardcore, mate.
Am I really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
One second.
To be fair, I'd have serious difficulties understanding if this was a D&D thing or a real life thing.
Oh, that's me.
Hey. Well, that's stupid.
But it's kind of funny.
But the other one, what was it? Maxwell recounted was a pretty significant log trap that that actually party wiped all. But him.
Pretty much. It was fucking horrible, and it was just a branch like, and it's just like, oh shit, we're all dead.
Deadfall, dude, don't ever underestimate a deadfall trap. I mean, it was used by.
Oh, yeah.
It was used by hunters for millennia for a reason.
Yeah.
And then the other one that Josh offered to us was during a game that he and I were in. An idiot put on an very obviously cursed crown that fell off of a lich that we had just defeated. Where the
You
crown
played
was,
yourself.
Yeah, and the crown was whispering, "Wear me."
Oh, we should totally name the stream "Congratulations, you played yourself."
Yeah, that'd be nice.
When it goes up on YouTube, I'll probably do that. That might be good.
Like, why are you DMing me when I'm streaming? Why?
Or when D&D goes dur and dur.
Okay, so one of my more favored traps that I as a GM have put together is a pretty simple trap, and Josh will remember this one, but essentially the setup was pretty simple. You have a everyone's in this fairly large lab type place, and it was a dungeon, and there in one of the the bio labs, they come across a door with a the little airlock sort of squeaky door thing. Fuck words. I'm really good at words today.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Anyways, but there's a single window on the door. They go inside, and inside the building, the floor is grated, and there is a pedestal in the center of the room with a single button on it. On the wall, there is a slightly damaged display screen, and once they entered the room, the door seals shut behind them, and a countdown begins on the timer. And at the same time, vents above the room start pumping in a kind of a scentless fog into the room that's slowly filling the room, like gas heavier than the air around. Every time they hit the button, the gas would stop, and the timer would reset. They could not open any of the doors. They were completely sealed with mag locks, and they were just stuck in there. It's the final countdown.
Did anyone lay down the button?
Huh?
Did any button?
Yeah, they held down
Yeah.
the button.
I remember this moment.
Yep. They held down the button, they smashed the button, they punched the walls, they screamed and fled, and they were like trying to hold cover over their faces. The entire time they were just panicked, and you know, all the because it was only I think it was just 2 of you guys that went in there, right, Josh?
There's 3 of us.
Oh, it was 3. Three went in, and there were 2 still in the main chamber. And
May enter.
I'm sitting here behind the GM screen, giggling like a fucking jackass, and you know, the others are beating on the door like, what's the HP of the store? It's like it's some kind of really, really well reinforced steel. There is no tools that you have in your possession that can destroy these walls. Even magic seems to wick away from the material. And they're like, fuck, they're gonna... God damn it, why did we do this? You're an evil GM! And so they finally just decide to just, like, okay, fuck it, I guess we're dead. And they leave the button alone and just sit there as the entire room fills up with the gas. Then all of a sudden, vents kick on below the grates, and you hear crackling vox echo out across the thing. And this is after them, like, spending about 3 hours in game trying to find a way out of this.
Oh god, I think I realize what it is.
Decontamination complete.
Yeah.
You asshole.
Oh man,
That is evil.
that is such a bitch move.
You bastard.
Okay, people, and remember, people, this is our.
Yep, this is your GM right here. Your lives are in my hands. Yes.
At least I know what's going to happen to my character instead of, you know.
If I'm any example, I died in that campaign too, right at the end of that dungeon.
Hmm.
And I died at the start of this one. I'm supposed to be his best friend.
Hey, I don't play favorites.
He's on.
What?
What?
Dapper,
What'd you
you're
say?
cutting off.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I'm trying to think of another trap. This one time in I stuck a flute in my pussy. No. We had a. I think it was the one shot that Maxwell, that Bland ran with me and Maxwell, and who else was there? There was one other person there. Yeah, Media. That was Media.
You're not about the dungeon crawl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so, you gotta love it. I played as a halfling thief. I'm sure, actually, Gator, I know you met that character.
Yeah, I did.
And there was a dwarven cleric. I guess who that was. And there was a human fighter called Human Fighter. That was his entire... A one-shot character called Human Fighter.
It's about his hero protagonist.
And we had a needle in the lockpicks. So, you know when you pick in a lock on a chest and it's got the fucking blade that comes through the keyhole and stabs whoever's picking the lock? Because they haven't got the key to depress the spring.
Yeah.
That happened, and I knew that was going to happen, like, a mile away. And it's a one-shot, so I don't really care about character or anything like that, so I didn't just take the hit. I just watched this fucking needle go flying across the room and stone wall with a thumb.
Bland was pretty nasty with those one shots. I'll give him that.
One shot, dude. You're not really meant to come out of it alive.
Nah, sort of thing. But I must admit, man, the fucking actual final fight in that fucking dungeon, though. Holy shit, man! I was like sweating through the entire thing.
Yeah, that was
The
great.
one with the kobolds, or the one that you guys were playing?
Both.
Yeah.
Both of them were actually really, really intense. One was I want to say it was a golem.
Yeah, the golem, the one that we couldn't fucking hit to save our lives.
Yeah, the one that we kept on just kind of like it was this it must have had a dexterity of 5.
Yeah.
Yet we were still he was still tank evading us. It was fucking insane.
We
Like
were running up to that motherfucker and swinging as hard as we could, and all we would get was a ding.
And of course, the last one that me, Gator, and Maxwell did with the kobolds, that was fun. I don't think my character has ever committed so much of a lizardy genocide before, draconic genocide.
We just fucking wiped him out, didn't we?
Yeah, there wasn't even any kind of quarter. We went through the entire place, just exterminating these kobolds.
Yeah, well, they kind of deserved it at that point, just being real.
Yeah.
Just being real. That's the reason they deserved it. They're kobolds.
Yeah, like we did try to at least be.
So I may be kobold racist. I don't know what the term is.
Koboldist.
Koboldist.
Yeah, koboldist, yeah.
Goddamn koboldist.
That was probably good.
That was. Alchemist's fire used as Molotov cocktails wiped kobolds out. By the way, guys, if you're interested in that, I had 2 bottles of it, and I took out.
Celestial weapon can hit a fuck ton all at the same time.
Oh yeah. Gotta love it.
Yeah, because wasn't that one? Didn't we start that one at level 4? So we had reasonably decent skills by then.
Yeah. Because we put characters on from the last one shot, which is kind of not what you're meant to do. But
I know,
it.
but we was like, screw it, let's use the same ones.
Yeah, and it was one. Okay. Good morning. Our time, obviously, because if you couldn't tell, we're English. And we just finished playing. It was one of the first sessions for the D&D stream. Oh god, that was good. And then we just thought, okay, well, I mean, Bland's running this session, we could just hop in. So yeah, cool. The 3 of us. I think there was one other person. I can't remember. And I'm not exactly 100% tonight. So, we were basically sent into the mines for stuff, and we ended up. What was it? Was it a vampire? We ended up getting in there. You remember that? The Shrieking Terror. I think it was.
Oh god! Fuck that goddamn thing!
Damn near killed me 3 times. I think I went into unconscious more than twice.
Oh yeah. If you're doing a one shot, make sure at least one player's got spare the dying. Just a tip.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Be real fucking mean. Be as mean as you like. Yeah. I don't remember any of the traps apart from that one where they had the gelatinous cube inside. And it nearly got me twice, but I was a dexterous little bastard because I was a halfling thief.
Yeah.
Normally halfling thieves get the we throw you into the river and move on treatment, but in that case you were useful, and you weren't.
In most
robbing
cases,
us
I was
blind,
useful.
but-
Yet.
Yeah. Oh god. Yet.
Anyway, actually, we should talk to him about doing some one shots again sometime.
Oh yeah, that would be fun.
So here's a question. So when you're building a dungeon, and I've done this too because I've built a few, just for interest's sake. when you're building, how far into the dungeon before you start throwing traps at them? Because there's a certain level of, if I do it too soon, they're going to be aware, and they're not going to have that paranoia.
Yeah.
But whereabouts would you put it in? Like one or two turns into the dungeon, or would you put it a little bit deeper in the dungeon? Maybe have it kind of built in underneath they found the cave, or what is your kind of deal behind that?
It usually goes down to it depends on what kind of dungeon that you're doing. If you're wanting to sort of like give more of an urgency to players and let them know ahead of time that there are traps, you start with a minor trap at say the entrance area. You know, you have you know, it seems pretty simple at first, and it's just like, oh hey, you've got a doorway here, and it's got a fairly complicated large lock, and you know, you've got like the little bars over the windows. You can't break those or do anything like that. But you know, obviously there's your way in, and what most people don't realize about it is that you have two fairly large braziers with pipes coming out of them that go into the walls, right? Now, these braziers are being fed something from those pipes to keep them lit. And on top of that, there is, like, let's say, some big, ugly, like, dragon gargoyle sitting on top of the gateway. For the most part, it seems to be decorative. It's made out of stone. You can't see anything really done with it. Well, here's the rough gist, or the rough of the trap itself. If you begin picking the lock and you happen to fail at a certain value, which, you know, you have DC values of, like, normally a simple lock like this would be like a DC 10 or maybe a DC 12 if it's a little bit more difficult. Say you roll a 5 on the DC check. 5 is way lower than these, and so as a GM you can sort of like claim, yeah, they kind of fucked that up. So you break a pick, and all of a sudden there's a dexterity check. The dexterity check is for you to jump out of the way as this enchanted gargoyle opens its maw and breathes out a gout of fire that burns everything in front of it. Now,
and that's just the base level kind of introductory. Hey, yeah, by the way, this is going to be a dangerous one, guys.
I mean, yeah, or just to at least let players realize that this dungeon is
tricksy.
It's tricksy. Yeah, it's got a little bit more to it, more than meets the eye. There was a really good trap again that I used on Josh and our friends, in which they entered it and they were already paranoid as shit. I hadn't pulled traps on them the entire time, but they entered it extremely skittish. It was down in the mines, and you know, the rough walls of the mine gave way into, you know, neat polished brick and stuff like that, with like draconic written in signs and stuff along the walls. But then there was a break in in the path that led in two directions. And so the party had to choose which direction that they would go. There was draconic written over the top on one way and the other way. None of them could read it. But they were still being cautious, like using what was it? I think you guys actually even had like a 10-foot pole, and you're whacking the flagstones the entire way. So,
I've done that.
Yeah, which is it's a really, really good thing. The other path happened to be like, you know, it led to pretty much nothing. It was a dead end. But this other path happened to lead to a long hallway. Very, very long hallway that ended in a T-junction. And all along the path, there were, like, decorative carvings and stuff all along the walls. Like, the rest of it had, you know, the odd carving and things like that every once in a while. But this hallway had dragon head carvings on it. And this was a Dragoi ruin. So, you know, it's like, two and two together, it's like, okay, this seems kind of normal for it, and it's just ornate and pretty. Well, they go around still whacking the floor as hard as they can with this stick. Well, it just so happens to be, like, they're using Find Trap and relying very heavily on that. Because this is an old Magitech ruin, there were traps on the floor that were magical, that were touch-sensitive. So, stick, its thing, activates thing. The entire fucking hallway was filled with fire.
Dude.
And that's kind of one way that you can actually, like, as a GM in your toolkit, you can sort of punish players who are a little bit too cautious with things.
It also forces you to run for it, as our party had to run through gouts of fire, but I was just, like, tickled by it.
Yeah, because, well, you were an imp, so you had fire resistance.
The true thing that you're supposed to say is, I was a badass.
Oh, devil! Devil! Oh, my boy.
Oh, is that it again? Fucking hell.
He gave another sub. He gave a sub to Dap.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good boy. And keep him around. He's a good boy.
Yeah, boy!
He's one of our best boys, damn it.
He's my boy.
It's your
It's my boy, Dev.
But
Skinny
you can
Devil,
get
you
those.
keep going like just a sec. Devil, you keep going like this, man. And when we get to London, man, I will let you be my bottom. I swear.
Oh God. But in any case, the biggest
What a privilege.
the biggest thing to keep in mind when designing traps in any campaign is the simple fact of be generous with descriptions of things within a dungeon. Don't just say like, oh, it's just smooth walls here, or it's just like just regular sort of hallway sort of deal.
Give the player a chance to figure it out on his own.
Yeah, and also as a GM, you also have to think about like, okay, what are you going to do for like how are these traps going to function? How is this mechanism going to work? You kind of have to have that Rube Goldberg sort of sense in your head.
That reminds me, have you ever done environmental accidental traps versus engineered ones? Like, for example, a leaky gas pipe.
Yes.
And stuff like that. A stack of heavy crates, and there's like an ammo crate near the bottom that players get greedy and decide, oh, we're just going to pull this bottom one.
Yeah.
The rest of it falls on them.
That is an absolutely excellent, like non-obvious trap that you can make as a GM in construction your dungeons, because you can sit there and just have it to where, yeah, it's like, oh, well, it's just, you know, it's a leaky pipe and it kind of smells funny near it. Kind of smells like farts. It's like, oh, that's methane. Methane burns.
Can I ever inhale until I die?
Yeah, that would be another sort of hazard of it. I mean, these are the sort of things that kind of count as both traps and also environmental hazards at the same time, and that is one of the best things to add a really nice spice of variety to your dungeons as a result. Because at that sort of point, it's like, you're not, like, the idea is not, in most of the time, you're not trying to turn your players into an absolutely horrific mess of paranoia. And, because it chugs the game to a crawl. You know? Like, nobody's gonna want to do anything, they're scared, the players can get demoralized, things like that. The deal is that, and it goes back to what we discussed in previous GM talks.
Well, I think that's actually not so much on the DM. My first game, we were really, really paranoid. Everything we did, we made sure we did absolutely right until we put sticks through our feet. But the
Second up,
D&D.
cutting out.
I'm kind of thinking as I'm talking. The point of D&D is not to kill the party. So the GM isn't gonna unless for one shot everyone dies. You're completely wiped out. You're not gonna have that party wiped. The DM knows what fair is.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you've got to find equilibrium between, basically the odd scuffle and throwing your party into what I call a red queen fight. Don't be scared to do that, but also make sure that they've got a decent chance to defeat it. But with the occasional twat getting knocked completely fucking out, sort of thing, which heightens the kind of the desperation of having to twat this as quickly as you can so that you can save your teammates, sort of thing. And that's I think that's exciting, but I mean that's just me.
Well, Merc just Merc just mentioned how he's laughing at the idea the DM knows what fair is. DM's jobs, and I have done a little bit of the kinds of games, not D&D specifically, so GM, but the deal. It isn't.
Say again, because
Say again.
The overall process isn't to kill the party, and if it's to punish them when they fuck.
Yeah, definitely, and yeah. But the deal is, here comes the other end of that ethos where the DM knows what fair is because, let's say your party has had the most absolute worst rolls the entire time through this dungeon, and you do notice that they're starting to flag a little. They're starting to feel bleak and things like that. There is a certain, onus to the GM to maybe fudge a few rolls. Say, oh no, you guys managed to get through that, or it triggers, but you have the option of being able to duck out of the way. It's a give and take sort of deal.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, if your entire party is suffering from fucking weirditis, there's not a lot you can do.
Well,
yeah. Ryder is a subscriber, and he is not on our subscriber list, so I'm just going to roll him now.
Definitely go ahead and do that for him right now.
I feel like, much like their real-life counterparts, traps are a lot more useful as attrition devices. So, instead of escalating the force of enemies encounter by encounter, the environmental hazards can be used to weaken them to the point where it's going to be quote-unquote fair fight against whenever they end up fighting inside.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'd have too much of an edge. And it's still also a way of kind of introducing them to the conflict that's oncoming.
Yeah, I mean,
here I go. I stepped on the wrong thing. All of a sudden, I got like a log trap that might not actually kill me outright, but might
drop
knock
you down
me
to like
pegged up.
2 HP or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's part of the deal.
Or break an arm or something like that.
Yeah, but see, here's the other thing about a trap, and this is why it's so valuable in a GM's toolkit, and why what it makes a dungeon what it is. This is essentially it's a marathon, not a sprint, and on top of that, it has to be respected. You can sit there and have a bunch of small traps all over the place, and they do just chip damage. But see, the deal is, there should actually be true consequence for failing a trap, whether it be simply, flat damage to somebody, which it can be catastrophic. You can break a limb. You could be dealing with debilitating illness as you progress. As you go through the dungeon. But also, it can do other things like, say, cut off alternate safer routes within dungeon. It could destroy certain things that were helping you out before. Like, let's say that there was a font of healing that was a few rooms back that you could sit there and drink from the waters of it and replenish your your health. It's like, oh no, we triggered this trap, and now the what was it? The dungeon knows we're here, and that font has dried up.
Yeah, that was up.
See, demoralizing is the worst thing you can have. You shouldn't run it like. If you say you got a dungeon, a jungle dungeon, right? A thick, winding over like brush, deadly animals and small dungeons. Really fun. You can have you roll for ambushes and then boom, jaguar. Holy shit! Size of like three of my tanks.
Yeah, or even worse, like fucking mutated Venus flytraps.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
and that also goes back to the the ethos that a dungeon doesn't always have to be obviously a dungeon. It could be certain other places. Like you guys went through an actual dungeon already within the forest in Grenterra, the large forest when you moved from where you guys were in the cart and stuff like that. That was an actual dungeon crawl that you guys did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well we ended up in that weird ass maze. That was fucking awesome.
Oh, the maze was another dungeon. That was a different one. But
there was two dungeons
the
together.
Forest, the forest that you were in before then, where you had like the little sub areas that you could go to, and you had to deal with different challenges and traps and animals and stuff like that. That was all like one large dungeon.
Nice.
And the nice thing is that you never realized that it was one.
No, because it was because it felt like open world, as it were.
I mean, in Gamma World, you're not gonna get like conventional dungeons at all, but you get the equivalent of old buildings that you're trying to ransack and scout.
Vaults.
No. You could have old school dungeons as well.
Could have
think about it.
D&D dungeons.
Yeah.
Again, don't take this as an absolute statement. I'm speaking in general. The Gamma World, but a lot of the scenarios present are more to do with like ruins of some sort. That you're trying
but that's
to
a dungeon. If you look at Fallout as an you know, the buildings that you scavenge in Fallout 4 or 3 or New Vegas or any of the Fallouts, they're dungeons.
I mean,
they are dungeon
sense, not so much. What I'm saying is like a literal sense of it. You may not always identify them.
In an RPG sense, they are dungeons.
In the sense,
I know where you're coming from, but, especially Fallout.
I usually, ultimately, at the end of the day, the greatest ethos that you can take to building your dungeons is having the concept of not reward and punishment, carrot and stick, but instead complication and advancement. Complications are just simply things that, it adds a little bit more to the story, a little bit more to the adventure.
Oh yeah.
Players will have to figure ways around things that come up. And
so
with
as a result, there's no sense of accomplishment. Makes absolute sense.
I mean, do you remember the one that Blanded sort of thing, where it was like who killed who, and you had to work it out by the one statement?
But that's a riddle.
I still thought that was badass.
Puzzles are the
something
other side of that coin, where puzzles are they're distinctly standalone trap components to a dungeon, to a place. That actually do have some sort of reward of advancement beyond. And puzzles are one of my favorite things in D&D because they reward being able to think non-laterally, to be able to move beyond just the numbers of what you're playing and actually interact and really get immersed into this world that you're playing in.
Yes, definitely.
So, with that being said, I think that should draw a close to that section of today's talk. I wanted to go through now with everybody and sort of discuss, like, what are some of the favorite monsters that you've encountered in D&D? The denizens of these dungeons and places.
Well, I mean, there's the old standard, kobolds and skeletons and stuff. But my favorite, which actually allows me to follow on from that story, the party had found the cave outside. There was 3 of us, I think. We were camping out in front of the cave, and we were assaulted by appeared to be zombie-esque figures. Being a full-grown human Faith, my now ex being a dwarven barbarian, I vaulted off of the dwarven barbarian, stomping one of these creatures, and I hit a nat 20, and I went straight through it and just turned it into a big pile of goo. Cooper stomped it. Which
wait, was
is
that,
why
was
the
that
whole...
at the entrance right at the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You weren't there.
Different one. Okay, never mind.
The...
I was thinking
This
the one,
would
you know,
be-
the one where we were forced into the cave? I thought it was that one.
No.
Okay.
So I and the brains went through the hole in my foot and had a little...
Gross.
But the monsters that you fight, so every single kind of zombie is going to be different. Oh,
Second down,
accurate.
you're like fucking like way out, man.
yeah, my
Can't understand a goddamn word, dude.
yeah, I don't know what's going on. Come.
Yeah, you're only lasting like maybe a second and then you just cut out.
You're either cutting off or roboting alternately.
Yeah.
We got like 1 or 2 words out of all that.
Yeah, it's probably trying to fix it. Bless him.
Yeah, he'll sort that out. Hopefully.
Yeah, I wish I could actually contribute, but I'm too new to D&D to have any memorable encounters and monsters.
I mean,
Same.
you didn't have you guys haven't had any, monsters or anything in World of Darkness? That
I
seems
mean,
hard to
she
believe.
specifically said D&D and...
Oh no! I mean in tabletops in general, like
Oh.
yeah, you guys can use World of Darkness stuff. I
well-
very much welcome that.
Well, there's actually one monster I did. I GM'd for Ironclaw, and the best description I can give to Ironclaw is that if you can imagine a Redwall as a tabletop game,
Yeah.
that's basically what Ironclaw is. So in this game, I created a couple monsters that are cult members. They all worship a giant slug that they believe that they will reach enlightenment once they become sludge and become one with this giant slug that they worship.
Oh,
Sort of like a
lovely.
Lovecraftian. Yeah. So you can tell initiates of this cult, they ingest this black slime, and they slowly disintegrate into this
God.
thing. So
Oh,
actually this
geez.
is so this party, it consisted of, I think, what was it? A raven witchfinder. They had an NPC that is and basically a witchfinder is basically a wizard that hunts other wizards or witches. So a raven witchfinder, an albino rhino. I'm trying to remember the party. A bear.
Albrino.
Rhino, yes. And there was an NPC that was I put them as their guide as a wolf shaman type of fellow, the Blessed. And they investigated this mansion that was that used to belong to a rhino. Oh my god, it's been a long time ago. It once belonged to a rhino royal family, and it turns out they were practitioners of this cult, or at least some of the members. and they came across this monster I created, which was imagine
My
a
shock.
skeleton that imagine a skeleton that's partially slime,
Oh.
and they don't move. They don't move. They don't breathe. They don't make a sound. They just move, and you see this thing slowly moving towards you, like eyeballs falling out.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's the type of monsters that they had to encounter, and that actually legitimately creeped them out.
I can imagine why.
Yeah, because and I'll give this cult idea was not mine. It was basically developed by someone else. But I just expanded it, and I want to use it more. But that is a monster I created, and it was a slime. What animal was it? It was like a slime deer servant.
Slime spine.
Yeah. So, a partially slime monster who does not breathe, just moves towards you, and yeah, that's the monster.
I mean, I dig it. It's definitely that's kind of like the quintessence of like good monster design, something that sticks with you. If you forgive the pun.
Oh, no problem. And another one that I actually encountered recently in the World of Darkness, and my character shouldn't have drank blood from it because he's an idiot, but it was the storyteller called it a skin taker. Basically, it tears off the skin of a human and wears it and becomes that person.
Ooh,
So we had to go down to the pipes of the sewers of the city, and turns out that there's these three skin takers who was actually partially eating a Nosferatu type of vampire, because they kind of invaded his haven. So it sucks for that Nosferatu vampire. And luckily, my character was able to stab it with his sword. The other character was able to shoot it, but I think what got me was that after that encounter, we saw like a couple of bodies and my character was able to find a wallet that has like the identity of these unfortunate victims. And then a few minutes down, we encountered the other group, and one of the workers quotation mark came out, and it happens to match the identity of this victim. That was really sad, because we knew that it's not the real person he's trying to be. But it was to me it was kind of a shock. Not kind of a shock, but well, we have to kill that person. And unfortunately, for some reason, my character decided to bite it. They didn't go very well. He has a spook condition now. But yeah, skin takers, they're not pretty.
I bet they're not.
I don't imagine so.
Yeah.
World of Darkness is just full of that kind of stuff.
Buffalo Bill type of
Oh,
yeah.
Oh God!
Oh,
basically.
that's tape. Nah, that's just run of the mill.
Yeah. I bet
You end up
Barry
fighting a lot of just human NPCs, cultists, serial killers, overall scumbags, but usually under the thumb of some kind of supernatural entity or another.
Can I jump in again? Am I
Yeah.
actually
Go for it.
now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Yeah,
Alright,
dude.
the best monster we never fought it, but the best monster that we had in the campaign that my uncle and I were in when my uncle was running, where he described it like a chaos defiler from
40k.
From 40k, yeah? You
Yeah.
know the chaos defiler?
Yeah.
The kind of crab walking dreadnought with the big pincer shit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but it was a spider. I cannot remember the name of the monster for the life of me. Maybe one day I think. Hint, nudge, wink, wink. I will be able to remember what it is. It was like a Fate Weaver or something. I can't remember the name of this monster, but the way he described it sent shivers down my spine. Not because it was particularly scary, just because the way that he brought it about, because of the strength of the word that he was using to describe it, the overall nature of this beast being something that, yeah, you really don't want to fuck with this. Let's leave that right there. Walk the fuck away. And it sticks in my head because just came in and picked up a corpse and then left. They didn't do anything to us.
Oh fuck.
Yeah,
that
one
actually.
of those ones that's just like treats you like a fucking ant. Terrifying, me. Terrifying.
Yeah, that's a lot on how the storyteller game master manages to flesh out the concept. As cool as it is, it might end up being completely underwhelming
There.
Well,
and pointless if you don't know how to play it off. In this case, he didn't even have to engage with you in combat. He did such a good job conveying the idea of how powerful.
Unfortunately, we could never carry on with the campaign. However, I mean, real life gets in the way and everything. And we still talk about playing it from time to time. It gets thrown around and just not really feeling it, which is pretty understandable. That and I'm busy Saturday nights now with you guys.
Dab, you're gonna have to speak up, bud.
That and I'm busy around Saturday nights with you guys. So it doesn't. It's not conducive to an IRL gaming session. However, tomorrow I'm going through the Dreadball rules. Now, if you guys know Dreadball, I talked about it a little bit the other night.
Yeah, the sports tabletop game.
Oh yeah.
That actually has RPG elements in it. So yeah, there's season tables and stuff that you can run. You pick a team, you buy players for your team, and then you run that season all the way through. And then someone wins the season.
Okay.
And the money that you win from the last season carries on to the next one. And so on, and so on, and so on.
So it's like Final Fantasy football. I mean, not Final Fantasy, fantasy football.
Fantasy football.
Yeah, kind of like fantasy football, but with miniatures.
Oh, okay.
There's actually a thing on Tabletop Simulator that somebody actually ported the game into it. So
Yes.
So if if folks are interested in maybe seeing a bit of this this football game, this Blood Bowl.
Well, it's actually more like a basketball Blood Bowl version.
My
I
best
would be more than
encounter-
happy to run a one just for anyone else just out there. Just if you're interested, I'm more than happy to run a series of those. At some point.
I would love to actually play in that sort of deal.
Well, I mean, to be honest, anything that gets us back on Tabletop Simulator or more often, I'm all about that shit.
I had a lot of fun with Tabletop Sim the other night. That was the first time I got to play with a group of people, and since I bought the fucking thing, so I was very much even if I lost, I still had a great time.
Oh, dude, I was so close to winning Munchkin the other night. It's not even fucking funny.
But yeah, if you guys here on the channel are interested in this sort of stuff, yeah, definitely let us know. Tell us in either the Deplorables D&D group there on Discord, or even here, just sort of say, hey, when are you guys gonna do, blah 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 blah. Because we'd love to do some sort of game night type deal or things like that to get a little bit more involvement with the community, as it were.
Yeah, because I mean, we've got Quiplash, we've got a plethora of Jackbox TV style games.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tabletop Simulator, we can delve into that quite deeply, and then we've just got like little random games that we play together. Like we sometimes do some Endless Legend or Frostpunk or what's the game we're playing at the moment? 7 Days to Die.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's also
Yeah, definitely. Dude, if you've got friends who are interested in this sort of stuff, maybe because I know a lot of us here are from the Saints community. If you've got friends who are not so much into Saints, but maybe might be interested in actually playing games, doing tabletop stuff like that, or might just be interested in the show here, yeah, invite them in, by all means. Even if they don't watch the show, just invite them in so that we have kind of a bit of a more warmer gaming community, as it were. Kind of one of the places I figured that this community with the Deplorables is actually going to sort of expand into. So
Because
yeah.
there's
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
nothing wrong with getting your nerd on. Absolutely
No,
nothing.
absolutely
Indeed.
nothing. Like, it is one of the goals of nerddom is to have a community that you can play games with. It's kind of the point of it.
I definitely miss being able to play a lot of tabletop games. Like,
to be bluntly honest, to be
Mhm.
painfully bluntly honest, the idea for the Discord server was to get more people so we could all play more games. That's literally it.
Pretty much.
You've been played like a damn fiddle. You've been played like a damn fiddle if you thought it was just about the D&D.
you done played yourself, fool.
Oh shit!
So, all right. Well, that was you guys as monsters. Trying to think of a really good monster.
I know one.
If I can just quickly have a quick monster one,
Hmm?
sort of thing. It was the way that it was actually played. Basically, we had to investigate this. This is way back when we played it. We had to investigate this mansion, sort of thing, which was supposed to be like super fucking like menchlings everywhere, like ghouls, ghosts, goblins, the whole fucking 9 yards, zombies galore. We go and we're like, okay, let's go up and fucking smash some fucking shit in. So when we get there, it's nothing there. Like the place is fucking dead. And I don't mean like zombified, I just mean literally there's fucking nothing there. And then we get to this kind of staircase sort of thing. It's a really pretty big staircase because it goes up to like this upper floor, but like the floor isn't just like one story. Like the bottom floor is like 3 stories tall, but it's one floor sort of thing. So the stairs going up were pretty big to technically the second floor. And we're like, okay, well, we'll check upstairs to see where the fuck... Because literally, he had it as nothing there. There's no traps, no monsters, no nothing. We're like, what the fuck's going on? We start going up the stairs, and these trees start, like, literally piling through the wall. Like, just trees, as if, like, timber crunch through the wall. And we're like, shit, run! And it's like... And then he turns around and says, but all of a sudden, a strange-looking tree lands in front of you, blocking your path. And we're like, fuck. And like, there's still trees technically coming in behind us. So we're like, okay, everybody climb over. And he's like, okay, you try to climb over, but the tree flips you off and you start tumbling back down the stairs. And we're like, what the fuck? And he's like, okay, give me initiative. And we're like, initiative against what? And he goes, there's a fucking red scale dragon right in your face right now.
Oh dear.
And we're all like, oh shit, because we were like literally lulled into the like there's nothing gonna happen, and then it was just like tree, strange tree's actually a dragon's tail, go.
Oh shit. That's definitely a memorable sort of like meeting of a monster.
Yeah.
You know, in all of my tabletop gaming, and to be fair, I've not done an awful lot. I've been doing it for about 2 years now. I've never fought a Leviathan or a giant monster. I've only ever fought human-sized monsters.
Oh, you're in for a treat then. Those are some of my favorite things at high end.
I love me some big monsters. In fact, a couple of the scenarios that I've written up for one-shots and stuff, story-wise, have got massive pitch battles and dragons and tunnels and intrigue and stuff over the course of several one-shot in big quotation marks. It's not a campaign, it's just a really short story. And it's going to have, you're going to have to be like level 14 characters just to really get through it.
Well, let's hear what Josh had. His favorite monster or memorable monster that he wants
Memorable, yes. Favorite,
Go on.
probably not. So, this was at the end of, I think, the last D&D session that we had in-house, where Gator was actually DMing for us before my first major death. We walk into this room, and there's machinery everywhere. It's all plates everywhere. There's like these old retro plug-in discs that are gigantic, hanging from the ceiling, just hundreds of them.
Oh, they
and
were
in the
two
very center,
crystals. They were two crystals.
I should
so-
let you explain it because I don't remember it that well because I've drank a lot since then.
Essentially, it was a large mechanical room, and there was a like a pool of water at the center where it sort of like dipped in, and there was these sockets all over the room, and some of the sockets were filled with these what looked like a vacuum tube filled with a glowing different colored magical crystal. And what the others found out is as they drew into this room, there was a huge fucking construct that rose up out of the water, and it had the upper body of a female with like segmented plating, almost like a snake's body, leading down deeper into the water. This was the AI. This was the what did I call it, Josh? Do you remember? It was like something like I know I based it somewhere around a machine spirit because like AI doesn't exist in Brentera, but it's like a mechanical being. She was Volendrung. She was the caretaker for the dungeon that they were inside of.
Oh, look, a construct.
Yeah.
It basically was a construct. It was actually being powered by. Yeah.
Its spirit, it had no like inherent spirit, but there was a disembodied head inside of a very, very well armored container that was acting as the core brain to it all. That sort of kept everything running.
Ooh, a construct with head. I like it.
But it was a very interesting battle. She had the ability to cause these what was it like robotic robotic tentacles to come out of the water and slam people. She had herself. I based her monster template on a Gorgon, so she had abilities like that. If the combat had gone on long enough, she would have been able to use a variant of the Stone Gaze ability that a Gorgon has.
Oh.
And instead, it would lock you in crystal, like fucking what was it? Her face would open up, and there would be like these immobilizing like lasers that would digitize crystal all over your body and lock you in place.
Oh, that's horrible.
Like aside from that, she could also sit there and vomit out modrons. And I had in this particular setting, the modrons
I'm
were.
sorry, I'm gonna have to interrupt. Bulimia is not a monstrous trait. Okay? she's trying to look pretty. It ain't working. You've gotta help her.
I mean, she a big girl.
Oh, she thick?
I mean,
She's
she was integrated with the entire lab, so that I'd say that's pretty thick.
Pretty damn thick.
Like
It's
they
like
were like technically, what was it, inside her veins the entire time, going through the entire place.
Oh, okay, understandable. I can see that.
But the modrons actually had a bit of a custom effect that I added onto them. So typically, modrons are just simply kind of a throwaway enemy. They can be tough, especially in groups, but they have like yeah, she was kind of the master from Fallout 1. Yeah, actually.
Oh,
Um,
Jesus.
But the modrons are they come in different versions now. These are little constructed beings from the plane of elemental order. And these are synthetic modrons, however, that were made there inside of the lab. Volendrung's body can replicate and create them, hence why she was sitting there vomiting them up. Because what was it, the machinery down below inside of the room was just passing modrons along to be dispensed out of the what was it, the interaction module that was there. That was technically like because of like there were certain limits to the automation and stuff that the wizard who built all of this could do. The core of it, where it would handle all the other automated tasks and stuff like that, were these actual physical switches that Volendring would actually have to grab one of the crystals and place it into another slot to complete a circuit, and that would allow things to go wherever they would go, similar to like a phone switchboard. But in any case, the Modrones had the ability to combine with one another. They could double up. In the elemental plane of order, that's just kind of a normal thing that can happen. Now and again, different Modrones are produced as duodrones, which are as two Modrones fused together. Then you have tridrones, etc., etc. And so the deal was, I actually gave the synthetic Modrones inside of the place the ability to do it spontaneously. If they deemed a threat dangerous enough, they would actually combine themselves together and transform into the appropriate, more advanced version of what they were. And I'm drawing a little Modrone right here. You could actually get a Modrone as a wizard's familiar, funny enough, in D&D. Also,
I must admit, that's one thing I'd love to have, my own menschling. That'd be fucking awesome.
You'd have to be a wizard.
I know.
Wizards get
You already
familiars.
have one. Have you learned nothing of Balthan?
Well, technically, yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Alright. And they have like a little vocalizer right there, which is actually just a slot that snaps open and closed. And you've got little exposed gears all throughout here, and they have just their little legs. They're really spindly little things. Delicate sort of machines. Kind of like a little robotic ball bird. And they typically would carry with them a spear.
I'm actually reminded, I mean, they wouldn't count as monsters per se, but probably a subversion of it. It was when I was playing World of Darkness, Changeling, The Dream, The Lost.
Mhm.
We actually had, like, one of the online sites I was playing, there was like a much bigger player base, and the parties, well, groups of players would end up like dividing between social interaction and actual scenes.
Mhm.
And the story arc would sometimes blend between the two. And we had a player character who ended up killed, and but we only realized it, but a few of us and that the Changeling group ended up receiving in character text messages from its last moments alive as it was drugged and being hunted for sport and trying to contact our player characters for help before we ended up discovering her body.
That's certainly wild.
And then we had to investigate her murder. Turns out she had been accosted by two cheerleader types, socialites. Drugged her and then goaded her into confusion to running in a panic so the rest of their family would end up hunting them for sport. They were just mortals.
Damn.
They were
Sounds like a fun time.
just affluent and so jaded enough they hunted other things for the fun of it. And fully expected it to get away with it.
And that sounds like a good time though, so I'm not gonna stop them from doing that. In fact, I'd join in. Fuck it.
No, we ended up because the whole thing about the Changeling thing is they're all refugees of some sort. They're just a bunch of how to put it, misfits banding together because they're already hunted by the alien entities that ended up kidnapping them in the first place in the real world and reshaping them. And that kind of hits the point across from even when you come back, regular people can end up being as much of a monster as the things you're running from.
Oh yeah.
And the way it got put down, framed was really, really powerful. Actually motivating people to figure out how to go after these rich and seemingly
Innocent.
untouchable assholes.
Damn, that's actually. You see, that the importance of monsters are having a cool monster is one thing, but the importance is actually implementing it correctly.
Yeah, definitely.
That is one of the hardest things that DM can do. You can have a really cool setup and absolutely no follow through, and that will make all of your monsters seem flat and two-dimensional. You need to have some kind of reason for the party to be fighting them.
Absolutely.
You can be an unstoppable badass that kills 100 million fucking little grizzlies, but you're not really other than a murder hobo at that point. You're just a murder hobo with that's allowed to kill everything that they see because you're in the middle of a battle all the time. You need to then have some kind of consequence for the actions.
No, absolutely. It really came across as poignant because the player character who ended up dying her PC was a bit of a fuck up. Ended up getting the rest of the community into troubles with exposing her real nature and other complications. She was the kind of PC everyone else had to clean up her messes. But all of a sudden she ends up dead, and it's final, and it's basically unfair. And it ends up hitting you, that loss, and becomes like you say, like that hook becomes a real driving engine moving forward. Like regardless of how much we didn't like what she was up to, how much she annoyed us, at the end of the day we will miss her, and nobody should be ended up dead like that for no good reason.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a different approach on a monster where it's not like, your traditional like oh well it's evil because it's not human.
Teeth and fangs and
It's different.
Yeah, we were the things with teeth and claws and and outlandish appearances behind a veneer of magic, but they were just jaded and cruel, and
they were actual real evil
inside.
Oh yeah, definitely Goblin Rust monsters are fantastic. Players hate them. I love them. But no. I do.
No, and even from the mechanical side, there was a set of conditioning in fighting these guys, which is they didn't have magic or anything like that, or supernatural abilities on their side, but they did have a lot of influence and money, which means you can like we might have just confronted a conventional antagonist, but could not kick down the door for these people because they had like PMC security guards. They had the influence of the city's police force in their pocket, which means that at some point they actually sent like SWAT teams after us.
Damn.
Wow, they had like more money than God, and thought of themselves that way.
So I realized you were fighting the Clintons.
Yeah, you are not far off. You are not fucking far off.
From a monster point of view sort of thing, do you prefer making say like the bog standard monster a bit more beefcake, or do you prefer when your PCs get a little bit further on, a little bit higher level, so that you can introduce some more of the badass monsters of the lore, as it were?
I think Flash needs to be carefully, not Flash, but Special needs to remain special. And to be very carefully rationed. Or it loses its touch.
Yeah, definitely. It's
and you can do a lot with the little guys.
And it's
absolutely.
And
but
it definitely,
the elbow grease into it versus oh, look at this awesome thing here in the manual. Let me just grab this and just slap. throw towards the party.
Yeah. That's
And
where
Short philosophy.
Yeah.
The idea of, oh yeah, fuck it. Well, this is cool. We're gonna throw this into like a big pop mix is great for randoming. So in this forest there are this, and this. I'm gonna have a okay, you're coming up against an anaconda. It's different. It's a different style of world building where you're throwing randomized enemies, and and out of that whole like D20 roll, you could have if I roll a 20, I have to re-roll, and then you get 2 monsters coming at you. You can have your own personal rules when it comes to engaging character. I'd prefer it if it wants to do something along those lines. The player in a much more brutal way, because that way the player knows, okay, shit will pop off at some point. Because if they're gonna do, they're gonna actually have to do anything with them because they're not expecting any kind of harm. Maybe
You're cutting off bad again, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that I don't like about the deck of many things, though, it nicks the entire universe.
No,
I love the deck of many things. It's such a fun thing.
Many things. I'm just talking about. Well, I mean, I kind of am, but I'm not talking about world changing. I'm talking about, well, forest randomization. It's not. It's all. I didn't mean to come across like I was talking about the deck of many things.
I know. I was just jumping on what Goblin was saying.
Someone.
I'm not watching the chat at the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm making little pixels.
You might want to preface that next time, Maxwell, so we know.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Again, like execution seems to be key to these things.
Oh.
Encounters,
Always.
traps, hazards. It's like even meeting an NPC and the sensation you have to get from, oh, okay, this is someone you do not fuck with. This is someone who will advance your condition or absolutely stall you. Or this is a person you should
someone
be
that
wary
will
of.
change your life.
Exactly. That rests a lot on the storyteller and his ability to convey that. And if he gets that wrong, you're gonna get some massive misunderstandings and a complete track. And most of all, like you remembering that character like months or years from then and going, oh, I just remember when we met this guy. We just laughed our asses off even though he was just like some market vendor, some low-life informant.
Okay.
But you
Are
just
those those?
can never forget that guy.
Kelvin.
Oh, for
What?
fuck's sake.
The devil did
Speaking
know.
of memorable NPCs, especially market vendors, do you remember?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Fine
Yeah.
Dwarven Crafts.
no, the one that he did for the one that Patrick did, Kevin.
Oh my god, yeah, no. Our former GM had this potion seller that this local alchemist who was like this creepy halfling. It just like squicked the fuck out of our female friend who was playing with us at the time. Ooh, what do we have here? Customers. And like the entire time he's making
we're out
like
of
this
the store.
Yeah. No, the whole time he's like, Kevin is just gesturing by like acting like he's mixing a pot, because this halfling is apparently just constantly stirring this cauldron, like 24/7.
Isn't some kind of imp.
Yes, press F for Devil's Wallet.
Well,
Oh,
has he done?
He bought another sub for Goblin.
oh god damn it, devil.
That's like fucking around, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gotta
He's
kill
got to
this
get all the way
here,
up to
buddy.
666 so he can go home.
But no.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like the moment you remembered meeting so and so character, you go, "Oh my god, that was such a great time."
Well, yeah, I must admit, I mean, like the bit in Grand Terror where we met that fucking giant, where we accidentally put Squigums in like one of their most prized fucking like ceremonial fucking
His friend's dad's
cars.
funeral
Yeah.
suit. Yeah.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
like, holy shit.
That's the suit my best friend was buried in, and then party collectively shat themselves.
Especially because that was a monolith, and you guys were not exactly up to.
No, that was actually a really cool subversion of the idea that, oh, this is cool, I'm just gonna take it for myself.
Yeah.
The living mentality player characters have, and playing it off of it. I think we kind of do need to subvert and kind of kick some tropes along the way to make for a better game. Otherwise, it's the same old.
Yeah, I mean,
bad pattern.
Confronting tropes.
Tired pattern.
Confronting tropes is, it's a dangerous term to use in nerd culture, especially at the moment.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
But actually talking about them in a clever way,
yeah,
and understanding that these things
recognizing
are just part of the culture that we have for what we want out of these games. It's a power trip at the end of the day. The idea of it is to enjoy being a warlock or a wolf or an alien.
I'm all for escapism, but I do have personally a problem with overindulging in the power fantasy.
Yeah, I overindulged so much that I got turned to ash.
I know what you mean.
No. His character literally got reduced to ash.
Oh wow!
You were there, dude.
Oh,
was this another guy who got ganked?
No. This was
Are you
the
talking
one
about the anti-man?
That actually happened to both of them.
Oh god!
Yeah. After that fight with Volendrung, turns out that she was actually holding quarantine on the entire place. And the party got a little bit too combat happy as they were going through, and a little bit pissed off at all the Modrones that were trying to keep them out.
I think
it released this this engineered super being that was originally built by the wizard who made this whole place as a insurance policy against like this sort of Armageddon type fucking entity that was coming. Like for Bar might understand it, it's like an antediluvian waking up sort of deal.
Oh Jesus fuck.
Yes. And so the lab was in a pocket dimension that it was trying to break out of, and they were sent in there to try and take care of it and make sure that it didn't get out, but they never were able to broker talks with the AI that was governing the lab.
It can be kind of a trap to fall into, because we all know that like player characters, especially in some game settings, player characters are supposed to be special and above average.
Oh yeah, especially in D&D.
But if you start treating yourself, I'm the baddest motherfucker in the room.
I don't think we actually had that problem. It was more that we just had really, really stupid people.
You had your ex playing with you. And
Yeah, but I've seen a lot of players fall into that over the years. Which you actually get like if you get into the philosophy, you actually end up falling into the opposite, where you just come off as a douchebag. And the frustration that you have this fixed expectation that you have to excel all the time, and God forbid you don't, and then you just get more frustrated and you just push it more to try and make it happen, and it will have the exact opposite effect, and you're still even more frustrated, and the cycle just keeps escalating.
Well, I mean, the thing that I've always considered is it doesn't matter like how badass your character ends up being, sort of thing. You're always going to end up weakening some roles. That's just a natural.
No, I think it should be the opposite. You're going to shine only a few times, but those times need to count.
Yeah.
Just accept that and move on.
Yeah. Well, I do have a bit of a different favorite monster encounter on for my part in this. And
You tell.
funny enough, it was during my first campaign, and it was the first time we really came up against a formidable enemy. Like, we were all toughened up sufficiently from all the combat and things that we've been going through, and, well, some of the ne'er-do-well things that the party was up to in the past had sort of caught up to them. It was introduced as, well, the party's sitting around in this tavern, this tremendous, like, fucking, like, what's it, like, Schwarzenegger-esque in his prime fucking Minotaur is sitting there with a tiny little hat on his head and drinking a comically small, like, what would be like a normal-sized tankard of ale, just, like, with it pinky out and being absolutely polite to everybody around them. And he approaches the party and sits down at the table and allow me to introduce myself. I am Mattis Gonzalez, and I have been sent here to kill you. And everyone at the table is just kind of like shocked. He's a large size enemy at this point, so he's about like 12 foot tall fucking Minotaur without the horns.
Like,
we go through this whole, you know, spiel, like, wait, what are you doing here? You know, like, what, you know, try to reason with him and stuff like that, because for one, we had just come back and we weren't really expecting to get, you know, jumped like this. And he's like, no, I am a gentleman. You have 24 hours. I am giving you forthwith notice. I am a famed bounty hunter. You see, Mattis Gonzalez is a gentleman. You can choose to run, but I will catch you. I will be seeing you tomorrow. And he tips his tiny little hat, stands up, and thumps off out of the bar. We are like collectively shitting ourselves as players and stuff like that. Like, and then we realize it's like, man, wait, fuck this. This guy's not gonna be anything. Like, Kyle's just fucking with us. This guy is just gonna be like some punk. We'll just fuck him up. And so, like, my character, the Artificer, works with the Cleric, and we build traps around town and stuff like that. And, you know, come high noon the next day, we all saunter out to face this colossal fucking thing. We're expecting him to have, like, a bunch of backup and minions and things like that. And it's just him standing there with a cane, checking his pocket watch as we arrive. And he had one person with him, and it was an elf with a large chain bow. Like, think of like a large mechanical augmented bow.
Gotcha.
Oh, I see you are men of your word. This pleases Mattis Gonzalez. Shall we get down to business then? And we're just, yeah, fuck it, we're gonna fuck you up and all this. That was, quite honestly, one of the hardest fights of the entire campaign. It was an absolute slugfest that had us thrown over buildings, crashing through places. It was absolutely cinematic and stuff, and it wasn't for the fact that he had bullshit OP powers or anything like that. He was just a large, really tough, really dodged fucking opponent to face. And he never pulled cheap shots, never did anything like that, but it stuck with me so fucking hard for that fucking character. And
I have to respect DMs a lot more when they don't pull that kind of custom bullshit.
Oh, well, he was 100% a custom. No, he was a custom character. Kyle wrote all.
I mean, in the sense of like mechanics exceptions and subversions.
Oh yeah.
Like by a whole other, playing by different rules than the rest of the party in the system just to get a leg on the.
Oh yeah.
On the player. That always feels unfair.
That reminds me of the fight that Vinny threw against us, actually, because we were like smashing at things all day, every day. And then all of a sudden we come up against this thing, I can't even remember what it was, sort of thing, but like we're all like, oh, we're going to kick the shit out of this. And then it's like, 16, miss, we're like, fuck, okay. And then like, I think it was Babs, who rolled a 19, she had a +5, 24, and Vinny's like, miss. What? That's the first time we truly bricked it in a fight and ran away.
Sometimes you definitely get those sort of situations.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, that was fun. I'm going this way. Fuck off.
So, you're saying, Gator, so the fight was raging on with the Minotaur?
Yeah, it ended up, like, the fight goes on, and we do all this shit and stuff like that, and by the end of it, our rogue for the party, Kenku, by the name of Bobby, Bobby! Yeah, that was the inspiration.
Ass back here.
Yeah, that was sadly the inspiration for the name of the character. But you know, we're like, who sent you? Who sent you? And he's like, you have bested me, but I cannot give that information away. You know, I
Professional
will defend
courtesy.
that. Yeah, professional courtesy sort of deal. And like, it turned into the party torturing the guy. Like, the Kenku sat there and used in 4th ed, rogues get this kind of toxin that they can use that leaves a permanent and painful scar on the individual. He coated him in it, and it bubbled and boiled his fur off.
Oh, Jesus.
Mathis, at this point, his legs are chopped off, his skin is boiling off, and his bones are broken through most of his body.
Oh, Jesus.
And, like, it took us a second, and we just, like, all looked up from the table like, holy fuck! We're supposed to be heroes! This is why we have fucking, you know, what would be honestly an honorable hero trying to kill us, and we did this to him. Oh god, we're monsters. And it was interesting that this character forced that kind of mirror upon us. And we never really kind of like realized that until after the fact, and it was like, holy fuck. And what was even more interesting is that we got one last parting shot from this guy. In the final act of the campaign, the GM brought him back. He was actually working for the evil Seven Sins gang at this point, and was on the the 7th Continent airship, which was basically this giant airship that was going to rain down like magical Independence Day style lasers that would scorch the earth clean. And we had to get to the control room up there inside of the airship, like big airship battle and stuff. Get into the thing, and we were supposed to get to this thing to disable the shields on the airship so that our allies outside who were fighting the entire time, they would have to, or that they could actually damage the ship. And try and bring it down before it left over the ocean and was overpopulated lands. Well, Mathis Quintalis was rebuilt with Warforged legs and all kinds of Magitech augmentations, and his body was completely scorched and blackened and fucked up from what we left it as, with that poison and stuff. And apparently, you know, Kyle remarks, it's like, yeah, that stuff never went away. His body has been in constant torment and agony ever since that you guys left him there to rot and die. He was scooped up and rebuilt by the Seven Sins. Now you have to fight him again. And this time he's stronger. A hell of a lot stronger. He had like things like a fucking rocket launcher inside of his chest that could open up and just do scattershot missiles. He had all...
Oh, cool.
It was pretty ridiculous, and
but it was all on you.
Yeah, it was all on us, and he fucking let us have it too. And you know, Mathis Quintalis is pleased. He can finally pay back what you had done to him. You know, sort of deal. And it was like, oh shit! And oh man, he fucking got us good. Like, the only way that we finally were able to get him was that one of my I think it was my character or my girlfriend at the time was able to dodge out of the way as he did a bull charge forward. He had like a special bull charge ability that would fucking knock you hard enough to dent these adamantine plated walls. Like it hit one of us beforehand and dropped him down to about 5 HP. We were level 11 at this point. No, we were level 12 at this point. And fucking dodges out of the way, and he nails into one of these plasma coils that was like power. The plasma was running through to go to power the reactor, and bursts open, spills on him, and he's just like shrieking in pain because it splattered him and it's like corroding through him. And the plasma is basically like molten magma spreading slowly across the floor. And that's where we realized, like, fuck, use all your push abilities! Throw him in that shit! And he continued fighting even though his body was melting from this stuff. And just, like, clawing after everybody as he was just fucking turned to molten slag and charred skeleton by the end of it. It was very much one of those, like, terrifying Terminator moments, and, like, by the end of it, we just, like, looked at Kyle, and it's like, fun games tonight, guys, huh? You son of a bitch! But, no, that was absolutely an amazing fight, an amazing character, and the fact that he was able to sort of, like, bring that back around, just a simple monster who was just supposed to be a stupid Minotaur bounty hunter. It was able to have that much impact because of the different emphases that he used in the story.
It wasn't just a stupid Minotaur bounty hunter.
Yeah.
It was the DM, in a way, punishing the party for acting like a bunch of tools.
Oh, it wasn't even that. It just sort of evolved at the moment.
The actions have consequences.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
The
Right.
last words? Fuck, I used to remember them. I think it was like,
I'll be back.
it might have actually been something as corny as I'll be back. I always come back. Which would have been the first and only time that Mathis Quintalis did not refer to himself in the third person.
Fifth person.
Oof.
But
Spooky.
it was, yeah. But that was my fondest monster memory.
I mean, when it comes to monsters in D&D, like, combat is not everything. In fact, quite the opposite. You know, you have to have the ability to say, no, I'm not going to punch the dude in the face this time. It's kind of difficult for me, considering I made my character in the Gamorreau campaign have, well, little to no ability to control his anger when he has it. That's a fault with my character.
Yeah.
I mean, character faults can be very interesting to try and work around and expand on, and that's kind of what I was going for. It's one of the reasons why I'm trying not to be the blood-hungry psychopath that everyone seems to want.
Everyone seems to want?
I want.
Ah, there we go.
Wait, are they the fucking grudges from Final Fantasy VII? The ones that fucking stab you and instantly kill you?
They're not a grudge. They're Tonberry.
Tonberry, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. They have what was it? The little doink knife that always
death
does
touch,
like. Well, it's not death touch, but it just deals an assload of damage. But the other thing that I thought was always really clever about them as a monster in Final Fantasy was the fact that the game kept track of how many monsters that you killed. And the Tonberry had a special ability. That little lantern he carried, he would swing it back and forth, and the attack would be called Karma. And it would deal 10 damage times the number of enemies that you have murdered in the game so far. So Tonberries would scale to the point of, like, at end game, they could one-hit kill you with a easy basic ability that they could sit there and chuck at you without having to actually be in melee range, because the whole deal about a Tonberry is that they just slowly waddle towards you every turn. Just, one little step, one little step, one little step. It usually takes them about 10 turns to be able to get to one person and doink them.
And that person normally ends up hitting the deck very quickly.
Yeah, unless you're like pretty high level, and because the doink does limit damage, which is 9999. Once you're in late game, you have limit break, and that usually allows you to get more HP than 9,999.
Yeah.
But yeah, another example of a fantastic and interesting monster concept.
Well, karma is an interesting concept in gaming.
Oh yeah.
In general.
On gaming terms, yeah.
I mean, if you look at some of the better games that have at least been written, things like Spec Ops: The Line, mechanically boring as all fuck. Story-wise, very much derived from the Heart of Darkness. But the things that it made you do, I say made you do, you don't feel like you have the choice. You actually do have the choice not to. But then you end up in a loop. But the things that the game made you do, like white phosphorus civilians, genuinely horrifying shit. Those kind of moral ambiguities, or in this case, straight up fucking evils, actually make a game for me a lot of the time. Like the idea of, oh, I really shouldn't have done that. Now I feel like.
I think that's the core of an RPG. Otherwise, you might as well go play a video game.
Well, I mean,
Well,
that is a video game.
Yeah.
You see, Spec Ops: The Line isn't an RPG, dude. It's.
No, but I mean, as it pertains to the topic of this conversation, it plays heavily into more narrative. But what I'm saying is, most mainstream games like shooters and whatnot just want you to mindlessly exercise violence and not consider the actual implications of it.
I mean, one of them.
And for an RPG, I think that's what really matters when you consider action and choices.
Now, if only we had a game come out recently that would be the epitome of exercising violence and not thinking about it whilst also being an RPG. I just can't think of the name of it.
Yeah.
I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. That's
a
4 out of 4. And that is an indictment of modern RPGs to the idea.
It's not even the violence; it's the fact that choices don't fucking matter at all. That's a cardinal sin.
Yeah.
In
Also,
any RPG.
I might what was it? I might put that as a T-shirt or something. Come to think of it, kind of liking this design so far. The Tonberry where it's holding the knife and it's dun dun dun.
I unfortunately cannot watch the stream if you want to hear me talk. So
fair enough.
That's all good. Actually, in Final Fantasy XIV, there is an entire dungeon dedicated to the Tonberry, and the boss at the end is the Tonberry King himself. And is...
They did the Tonberry King in Final Fantasy X. That's where they introduced it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, in the Macalania Desert.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was
Beacon Desert, actually, but yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, Macalania was the woods. Actually, 10 I thought was one of the ones that did that really, really well. That added a kind of like dark implementation to the game, like when you really fuck off the priesthood of whatever they're called, sort of thing, and you then go like back to like earlier parts in the game, and you end up like everywhere you go, you end up having to face like dark aeons. I thought that was bang on.
There we go. Yeah, might definitely put that as a T-shirt, guys. Keep an eye on the Deplorables Discord. We might post that up.
Get their don't be a dick, murder hobos, get their comeuppance, I like that.
I do really, really enjoy my Final Fantasy. I've been on a Final Fantasy kick the last couple of days, partially because I watched through Kingsglaive last night, but
I actually watched that recently. I thought it was pretty good.
Oh, it was fantastic. It was absolutely brilliant. Though not to get too sidetracked from things, I think now would be the good time for our patrons to go ahead and bring them into the Gamma World chat here and speak with us. If you are a subscribed patron, to us here, a patron or a subscriber or a patron, even if it was a gifted copy, you are more than welcome to jump in and speak with us today.
Absolutely.
We will be we will be dragging people in from the patron voice to give ideas for potential maybe future NPCs or arcs for both Grand Terra and Gamma World as well, if you are more of the D&D persuasion.
And hell, I mean, just get like TTS, man. Fucking come onto the Discord because we'll be playing something guaranteed.
Oh yeah, for real. Definitely. Also, bear in mind if you are a oh hey, Griffin Varro, new face. Let's go ahead and get you a roll.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine.
Ah, sweet. All right.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
You
He's
now
not a
have
bad
a
dude.
citizenship.
He's a good Griffin. He's a very good Griffin. I think he'll be in best behavior, hopefully. As he said, he's actually going to be playing D&D tomorrow. It says in the chat he's playing a Thunder Cleric, Clo Crush, the half-orc pirate.
That's definitely neat.
That
Yeah,
sounds interesting.
and he said like I asked him if his character complained if the grog keeps running out. In the chat, he says, "Gotta have plenty around to clean fresh wounds after all." Never mind, he caught some of them. Yep, cool dude. Cool.
All
I was
right.
answering adorable avatar.
So that being said, definitely if you now have an active subscription right now, and we have not given you the patron role, do give us
Let us
a
know.
buzz on it. Yes, and
Let us know.
for now, we're going to go ahead and bring in our two patrons in voice right now.
Pick me! Oh wait, I'm already
Oh
in.
wait. Unless there's a twin of you somewhere, and that'll be quite interesting.
All right.
There is a doppelganger of me somewhere.
Uh-oh.
Move
God for fucking.
to Grand Terra.
Doppelgangers.
Or no.
Would that be
Alright,
cool?
And move to Gamma World. There we go. Devil Genocide, go ahead and unmute your mics, buds.
Hello.
Oh, seriously? You're gonna be bringing them in after all of this?
Hello?
Oh
Hello?
boy. Make yourself, boys.
Say hi.
Oh,
Take off the-
Do not swear you're live on
Yeah.
Channel 4.
Take out the ball gag, alright? It's fine. Just take it out.
There we go.
There we go. There you're finally moving.
There we go.
Yay.
Hey, Devil.
Hey.
Hey, Ryder.
What's up?
Hi.
Well, we...
Oh, not so much. We're just doing this little thing that we normally do on the weekend. I think you might know about it.
1 second, is that spot not stopped yet? 1 second.
Devil, you might need to turn yourself up there.
Turn myself up.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit. You're kind of quiet.
How am I doing?
You
Am I
seem
alright?
good. Yeah, you sound good.
Alright, that's fine.
Oh,
So how are you guys doing today?
doing fantastic. Also, Merc, even though that you can't join VC right now, you are more than welcome to go ahead and drop your suggestions in the patrons chat or a suggestion box.
I'm watching it, so if anything comes up in there, we'll know about it.
What about now? Right, good?
Yeah. We can hear you a bit better now.
Ah, cool.
Okay, so I guess we'll start in order, which just so happens to be our King Gifter himself. Devil, did you have any ideas that you might have wanted to offer to the game?
Yes. Basically, Dapper needs a yandere trap following him around, killing any chick that flirts with him.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Yes, please.
I can get on board
We
with that.
need...
Why
You need
you
to
doing
get
this?
some of that
I
monkey
feel-
fever?
Oh. I can feel
Yeah.
Dap just vibrating, just like, oh god, no, why?
Ooh.
Or have it a
I-
robotic trap, and every time somebody flirts with Wukong sort of thing, it says, "You goddamn maniacs," and then kills that said flirt here.
Why? Why you do this?
Because it's
I tell you what, I guess we could have it as we could have it as number one fan.
Number one fan, yeah.
Like Psycho Fangirl. I'm just like, oh, by the way, I saw you were smiling at this woman, so I got her your smile.
Holy shit! Yeah. Okay,
you seem to be staring at her eyes for quite some time. Here, stare some more.
Oh, you waved at this girl and she waved back, so I got you her hand.
The reason that Mukong learned that Tinder is a absolutely terrible and horrifying thing to.
Oh god, don't even get me started on that.
You had to fucking swipe left, didn't you, twat?
Yeah, I regret these things. Mukong.
Sounds like a mistake on your part, my friend.
Mukong is a sad monkey.
So that's one suggestion there.
I know that Ryder and we've been talking about having a gun shop deal that we can talk to. Your character? Any kind of ideas behind your character or anything you want on
Oh
it?
yeah, I was talking to Bar and Gator last night about it, and I was thinking about like a temporal, just a time-traveling arms dealer.
Oh, does he, whenever you walk in, does he go, hey guys, welcome to another Forgotten Weapons?
That was actually the bit, yeah.
Yeah, no, I have a few, because there are a few people that, and I know I'm playing favorites here, and I know that I've got reasons to. Some people might not like the idea that I'm for some people, but man, you got to give me a break, okay? He has a character right now. I've spoken to Gator about it in private.
Oh yeah.
Stitch McCavity.
Yeah.
He a doppelganger.
Batter.
Good doppelganger Yeti. Yeah, he's a badger.
Badger.
This seems terrifying.
Well, he's a medic, so he's gonna need more than one person. He's gonna have a magical team.
Yeah.
I like the idea simply because we're gonna need a fucking doctor if this goes down the way I think it is.
Well, as it was ending last time, I think a lot of people need doctors, mainly the guys you're going up against. But...
Yeah, some of them might need a coroner.
I mean, now that I think about it, it might be a good idea to actually offer the option of them surrendering them, giving up to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just saying.
Just struggle snuggle them a little bit, you know, just like shh, go to sleep.
I mean, I think we've stolen enough stun buttons off their dead bodies that we don't have to kill the rest.
Dead, unconscious, maimed, dismembered.
Ooh, I just come up with an excellent idea.
Oh god.
Jenna-Dean Grenade, and she is made up of nothing but shrapnel and American grenades.
Why? Why are you just nothing but walking grenades?
This isn't your dating app.
His jaded ex-wife.
Yeah.
Is constantly smoking. Sounds like she does.
15 packs a day.
God damn it,
Stanford.
I told you need to be coming home. Ow, God, I can't do that. Ow. Holy shit, my throat. I almost threw up.
You
owe me alimony, you son of a bitch. Where's my money?
Well.
That sounds more Jewish than anything.
I'd be like, blow
Don't
me,
judge,
that's how you
goddamn.
got me into this trouble.
Exactly, Stanford's German. He should have a Jewish ex-wife. It's perfect.
Absolutely, it's perfect.
Oh my God.
Is he also a psychologist?
Listen, you potato mashing fuck. Our kid needs new detonators. Where am I gonna get the money?
Kids? Oh god. I'm trying to imagine their kids, right?
Oh, look.
Oh no.
The little 25mm punt grenade.
Nein, Grenadine, das ist verboten!
Make them extra hot.
Oh.
The rider's arms dealer. He's called. I don't know how to say it. Kajid.
Khajiit?
Yeah, has wares. And when you first meet him, he should say that if you have coin.
We should see that. That's best spent on a feeling merchant.
Yeah.
We can make him one.
Oh, we could.
But,
that's going to be entirely that's going to be up to Genocide for that. I mean, I thought we were going to name him Genocide.
Yeah, I mean that's the ideal name for an arms merchant to begin with.
What are you? I'm the physical manifestation of ethnic cleansing.
Oh my god!
We need to kill every motherfucker in the region.
And their kids.
Oh my god.
What?
And this is why we will never have partnership status.
Are we allowed to like walk up to Genocide and say, "Yo, do you have like a gnome side cousin?"
Oh, that was bad.
As a
that hurt. It stings.
That's less. I'm pretty certain of it.
Oh god, Goblin says, Bar is a natural at that voice. His inner soul is a chain-smoking Jewish ex-wife. Your spirit animal.
Nah, it's just Dr. Girlfriend impression.
Yeah.
Which I'm accidentally really good at.
Accidentally? Or intentionally, I can't remember.
Accidentally.
No, it's completely accidentally. I've never practiced it.
Oh,
I mean,
okay,
to be fair, Dr. Girlfriend is voiced by a guy to begin with, so it's not too surprising.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so, any other suggestions, perhaps?
Oh, the original character I was floating around for, if I got into was, I was calling the Gunmancer. Just a telekinetic, the floating guns.
Oh god.
I like
Dude,
it.
I'm down. I'm down for that.
Oh, that actually kind of makes me think of, and I know this is circling back to Final Fantasy, but Final Fantasy 15, like all of the people in what was it, in Insomnia have the ones that have the magic. They actually summon weapons, and they're like floating weapons and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys have seen that.
I have not.
I'm
not actually a Final Fantasy player, so I'm just going to be really boring and say I ain't got a clue. I know less than most people when it comes to video games, to be perfectly honest, even though I would consider myself a gamer. I'm a fucking idiot.
Though, would a Gunmancer have like a kind of like subclass of, I don't know, like a Calibermancy?
In truth, you wouldn't have to worry about classing and stuff like that because the Gunmancer would be a monster. It can be whatever the fuck it wants and have whatever the fuck abilities that it wants.
Yeah, that's basically it. The original concept was telekinetic and hypercognitive.
Chest with for you, John.
Indeed.
Oh. Because
you're cutting off, buddy. You're cutting off there. What did you say?
Still doing it, dude.
Try again.
Don't worry about it. That's not funny anyway.
Oh.
I was just thinking, there needs to be a trap somewhere in the show, not a proper trap, not the trap I like. You know, the boring one that has a laser part of it, and Feldy just looks at it and goes, and just starts chasing the laser.
Oh yes, yes.
And have a roll to not do it, but have it extremely high.
Every time one of the enemies has a laser sight on their gun.
Also, what if Bar's character just ended up having a laser sight on Say's Glocks, and he accidentally aimed at cordyceps?
Oh no!
Accidentally. Oh no! What did I do?
Squeak.
I definitely think there should be an episode where somebody accidentally leaves catnip out.
Accidentally again.
Quotation mark.
That is not mine. I'm just holding that for a friend.
Yeah.
Later on, you just see Feldy laying there, just smoking, eating a pizza. You know,
Aw,
just
Giggling.
high, just
I killed
yes,
Cody.
just so
Poor
high.
Carla.
Carla did nothing. Carla is innocent of this crime.
Pretty good.
And Goblin has a certain point there. It's funny that everyone has to put emphasis on the fact that we're talking about literal traps, and that they aren't talking about those with feminine penises.
Indeed.
Hey,
Well,
Colin.
Niles.
Hey,
Feminine
I
penis.
prefer
For
those
one.
ones. I prefer the ones with feminine penises. Thank you very much.
I did have a
What is a feminine penis? Is that just like a dick with a fucking pink bow on it? I mean,
I'll,
penis.
Yeah.
I'll send you pics, mate. I'll send you
Oh
pics.
dear.
Oh,
Oh dear.
no, don't!
Don't
No.
go down that rabbit hole.
No,
Maxwell.
no.
That's a bad
They
idea.
never come back.
I mean, it was all right for Alice, so you know.
Okay.
Yeah, Alice never really came back from that trip.
But that
Are you
being
trying to
said-
tell me that the story of Alice wasn't actually a story about morality and choices? It was just about psychotropic adventures?
Probably.
Probably.
I'll go with that.
Though, that being said, though, I do think that it's probably a good place to go ahead and bring our Saturday show to a close here. We're going to be doing a little bit more hanging out with the patrons here after the show. If you would like to join in and hang out with us and stuff, join in on our Discord. I think the link should be down below. Should be a permanent link. If not, I will try and figure out something on...
Yeah, it's not down there.
Okay, let me go ahead and grab an invite link for folks. Copy. If you are watching this at a later time, I will make sure that here on YouTube, in the doobly-doo down below the description, there will be a permanent link to the Discord server that you can join in. When you get in, just at at the Town Guard, and you should be able to go ahead and get your citizenship status that way.
You have broken the law. You did not subscribe to us.
Damn. Harsh.
Yes, definitely give us a like, give us a subscribe, and all that good shit. Give us a follow if you're watching it live here on Twitch. For those of you who are left that Devil hasn't given a subscription to, go ahead and subscribe. It very much helps us out with the bills and whatnot. And if you guys are keen on it, you can support us on Patreon. Link should be also down in the doobly-doo below. For those of you here, patreon.com/RedStarAlchemy. In any case, I want to thank you all so very much for hanging out with us today, and I hope that this GM Corner on Dungeon Philosophy has been enlightening for you all.
Or at least
Entertaining.
It brought back some interesting memories for me when I was GMing.
Nice. Anyways.
And it fully exposed the absolute travesty that is Mukong's fucking mic.
Oh dear. Indeed. We will have to figure out... By the way, if we get enough money, we will be able to sort out Mukong's mic. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Adios.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
later, buddy.
See ya.